This podcast series is proudly sponsored by Schneider Electric, whose purpose is to empower all to make the most of their energy and resources, bridging progress and sustainability for all. They hope some of these insights from the following will help drive that progress.
My name is Jo Taranto and I'm joined today by Alana Jones, a Customer R&D Project Manager at Southeast Water, and we're talking about customer water usage, attitudes and behaviour change at Southeast Water. Alana, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, good to be here.
Alana, you're really interested in why people do what they do. How did you get involved?
I am, absolutely. I've started my career in customer research, and so that's always been about why people do the things they do. But my last, 10 years has been more focused on understanding how habits and behaviour can change over time by observing, watching and intervening rather than asking questions and looking for customers' answers. So I sort of like the observational research best. So
is it because people aren't always very honest about what they're actually doing?
How did you know that? That's because you're a person and I'm a person and we know how people are. You're right. So question and answer research has a really good role to play, but it's really hard to get underneath the layer, particularly in an area like water conservation, where sometimes habits are quite ingrained. People don't actually know why they do the things that they do. And it's also not a super salient product for us all the time. It's not something we think about. Mm-hmm. So when you ask customers to describe their behaviour or try to change their behaviour, it's very difficult. Mm. So maybe let's watch them.
It's a very hard thing though, because it's also such a private space, right? Using water in our homes is for the most intimate and kind of basic functions of being a human being. And so you're asking to go and be part of that routine. It's almost like an exercise in trust, isn't it?
It is. It can be, a little bit funny when you find out how people use water. For example, some people love to leave the tap on the entire time that they're cooking dinner so that they can come back and forth to wash dishes, wash food, etc. And that's a really big habit that's probably not great. Mm-hmm. So it's trying to interrupt these long-standing habits with some recommendations for better behaviour.
And so the idea of this project, which I've got to say is probably one of the longest lead times I've ever seen on projects in terms of you have done so much since, I think, starting in 2016. And each of these little projects, you've been able to work out whether it actually makes a difference or not. Is that how you approach it, or is it just because you've had so many over so long you can compare and contrast?
It wasn't meant to be as long as it was. These things happen. But basically we intended to try 3 to 5 different products or service offerings. That was always our intention. The literature suggests there's no one silver bullet. There's no one way. So we aimed to try the sort of, top 3 to 5 ways to save water. And our interventions or our trials were technologically based because this particular program is connected to our digital metering rollout. So with a digital meter, we're able to collect a lot more data about what happens in the home. And that means that we can then offer enhanced information to our customers. So each of our trials was about that at its base level.
So you tell us about a couple of the projects that you've been involved in then and what they involved.
Yeah, so maybe I have to think of my favourites rather than telling you the sequence. I think one of my favourites is the beginning. In 2016, we tried an app that had usage at a really granular level. Customers had told us during that question and answer research, they really wanted to know usage by appliance. So we delivered the app that showed you were using this much in the toilet, this much in the shower, this much in the washing machine. And we thought this would be a game changer. We got 0% behaviour change. So that's my favourite because it's so confusing and it was so disappointing. So, back to the drawing board and regroup for the next couple of initiatives. What we found is by the end of the program, fast forward 8 years, we deliver another app product called our Water Saver app. Things had changed. Customers were certainly more connected to devices and apps. So that's possibly playing a role. But what we did in this particular app was we made the usage quite personal and targeted. We also encourage customers to hit a particular goal. So we gave them their usage feedback, we incentivized hitting that goal, and each week we reminded them, you're on track, you're not on track, you're going to receive your incentive or you're not. So there was actually quite a bit of gamification and a bit of competition within that product. The first product was possibly more static. It was more customers had to choose to come to that particular app and look at things rather than being prompted. So that particular product, we got lots of behaviour change. We got, over the 12-week trial, we started out at a really whopping 8% behaviour change between our test groups and our control groups. By the end of the trial, that had gone down to about 1.6%, but saving 1.6% in a water context is actually huge. So it might seem disappointing that over time connection to that app or engagement reduced, but for us, these small percentages are hugely impactful.
And sometimes if you've got people who are leaving their tap on for the duration of cooking a meal, like 1% of that is is immense. So
yeah, all of it counts. Really, all of it counts.
You're listening to the Australian Water Association podcast series, and I'm speaking with Alana Jones at Southeast Water. So you've obviously highlighted that gamification is useful. What other things do you think really make a difference to people when you are providing them feedback or, giving them, something to compare to? What are the things that really make a difference?
So the other, favourites in this category, so we've got that usage feedback goals. We've also got alerts. So that's a really important space for water, and it's a really obvious place for a lot of water utilities to start. If you're collecting a lot of data about a customer's usage, you can develop a fairly good profile or pattern of what's going on in that household. So one of our best products was our continuous flow alert, which is basically a leak alert. If you've got something going wrong, we can detect that, we can notify you well ahead of time, and that's going to save you a heap of money and us a heap of water and the environment a heap of flow on. So I think that's the other kind of sweet spot to this whole water conservation space. We also developed something else that was called our spike in usage alert, and this is as part of the alerts package, which is different to a leak alert. If you have usage that is unusually high, it's not a leak, but maybe it's something that's changed that you're not aware of, we're sending a notification in that space too. So I guess there's this notification space, and there's also this feedback in the app, real time, use it as you like it with some prompts. So those were the two buckets, I guess.
And was the sense that you would roll this out more broadly if once you found success? Is that the idea of running a pilot and then getting that feedback?
Absolutely. So the product, it was different for each product, but altogether, the 5 trials, we had to compile that data to develop our business case for digital metering. So as our digital metering program's progressing, we're collecting all of this evidence, we're putting it into business cases, we're updating our numbers, and then we're also testing the efficacy of rolling out broadly. So the products that have rolled out broadly for us is our continuous flow alert, which is that leak alert. Our spike in usage alert is probably the next cab off the rank. That will come out to market probably towards the end of the year. And then we need to go back into research, into field for some of these other products, because sometimes the findings are confusing and you're not quite sure where to iterate to next. So that pilot stage gives you a great base for continuing in a few different directions.
And do each of your customers need to have the app downloaded? Is that how they will interact with these alerts?
In the future, we're developing an in-house product that will probably look like a compilation of the products I've just described. But some of these alerts don't even need an app. You don't even need to be signed up. It's something that we can detect at head office and then proactively prompt you with. You can then, of course, opt out, unsubscribe. But
so like a text message?
A text message, it can be that simple. And so it doesn't have to be a lot of time in tech development to develop some of these initiatives that give you great bang for buck.
What do you think will be next if you roll this out and it's, going gangbusters? What do you think's going to happen for South East Water and for other utilities in the future when it comes to giving customers feedback, shaping their behaviours and nudging them towards doing things differently?
Nudge, nudge, keep nudging. So the things that I've learnt most across doing these 5 initiatives is that the data has to be quite personalised and relevant. So at the start, when we made our offering probably not as personalised as we could have, reaction and engagement was low. So for me, we have all of this data. All the utilities will eventually end up on a digital metering journey themselves, collecting this data, and it's about how we use it to make an impact and to make a difference. It's no good sitting there with rows and rows of data if you can't actually make it meaningful for the customer. And how you deliver that meaning can be a variety of techniques. We've tried text message, we've tried app, we've tried actually an in-home shower meter. There's lots of ways to do this. My biggest takeout, I guess, for anyone listening is that there is no silver bullet. So we might have hoped that in the beginning, that we would find one magic solution. It's not going to be that way, and it's not that way for water conservation in general.
Humans are just not that simple, are they?
They're not that simple, and I feel like some of the humans in the water sector feel that they are, because
it would make life easier.
Wouldn't it just? But no, we all need to remember that we are part of this species that we are trying to understand.
Any other advice for anyone who's in behaviour change or interested in it, Alana, from your experience?
This one's hard because I think there's a bit of cultural change that has to happen at the business level too. So I guess as a water utility, we're used to delivering a bulk water product, taking it away and treating it. And it's quite a technical and highly specialised skill. But now we all have to become data experts, technology experts, and really customer experts. So I think that's a big change and shift for the water industry to catch up from. And for me, it's easy. I come from a customer background, but to talk and feel in the space of a customer is still a journey that I think we're all on.
It sounds like there's always going to be a lot of work to do in this space, but it's really been fascinating to hear the multiple projects you've been involved in, Alana. I've been speaking with Alana Jones, Customer R&D Project Manager at South East Water. Thank you for your time, Alana.
No worries. Thanks a lot for having me.